Welcome back to another video tutorial of Realms of Forgotten Worlds, brought to you by Realms of Forgotten Worlds. And, well, a little introduction before getting into the video. We're going to be seeing how to transport your player in between scenes, completely different scenes, not areas. Okay, so your adventure you decide. It's a multi-option, and you really do get to decide, if you want to imagine that. Okay, we're going to look into parallel worlds. Okay, that's the kind of the theme of the book. Be jumping everywhere, kind of like in Unity, like we're going to be doing here in a few seconds. Okay, so in Realms of Forgotten Worlds you have 71 decisions, 234 chapters, 70 tragic endings, and one goal. Okay, it's kind of like getting into book 2, staying alive. Alright, this is the way science fiction was meant to be read. Okay, hope you agree. Okay, now let's get to the video. Alright, here we are. Here we are in our previous scene from previous video. We're going to see something new today. It's not going to be exactly the same. Kind of similar though. We're going to be transporting our player, but in between scenes. Okay. Well, to give you an idea of what a scene looks like, well, this is our scene number here, scene 001. We're going to be creating another scene so you can see firsthand how to do that. Okay, so we go up here to File. Okay, one click. We go down to New Scene. Okay, very easy, right? Alright, new scene. Alright, apparently it was pretty easy, right? Okay, well, before we get that that idea, it was that easy. Well, actually it really was, but let's go up here again, File. This is a very important step for those who want to take note of that. One that could easily be skipped and forgotten about. It would affect our script very drastically, actually. Okay, let's go to build settings, and we're going to go to add current. Okay, but before that we want to do something else. We'll file, save scene as. Okay, we're going to go through here. We should already have a folder named scenes. If not, create one, new folder, and create a scene folder. Okay, go in our scene folder. We see we have scene 001. Okay, we're going to name this one scene 002. Okay, and you probably want to take note if you have any spaces. I actually don't have any spaces in my scene name. Very well, obviously, because it would very drastically affect your script. Once you're creating your script and you want to put in a scene name, it has to be exactly the way you wrote it here. So this is a very, very important part of the process here. So if you're going to put a space, always use a space. If you don't, never use a space. Okay? I usually separate words by a capital letter, and numbers and letters go side by side. Okay? Exactly like this one. Scene 001, scene 002. You have to be very constant here, especially if you're going to have a big project. Okay? Take special note of that. And we're going to go here to save. Okay, so we have our scene saved here, scene 002. Now we're going to go back here and do what we're going to do before. Okay, build settings, click on that. Okay, we're going to take a note here. This window has nothing, absolutely nothing. And for somebody who wants to build a test project, this is actually something you don't want. So we're going to go here to add current, one click on that. We have scene 002. Alright, so we need one other scene, right? Which one could that be? Alright, so let's exit out of there. We're going to go back, open scene, scenes. Let's go back to scene 001, since that's not our build. It's been saved, but that's not the same as being in the build. The build is telling the program exactly the hierarchy of your project. You could have like 10 scenes and only 3 are going to go into your build. Alright? If that makes any sense. Maybe that could be 7 test scenes and 3 ones that passed. Okay? Okay, so now that we're in scene 001, as you can see up here by the name, we're going to go into scenes, the build scene. And we see here in the list that 001 is not in the list. So we're going to go down here and build. Add current. Okay. slightly different. Okay, so they're out of order, and we can change that around. Just drag and drop. Alright, that's something else you want to notice here. We're going to work in PC, Mac, Linux. Okay, well, you may also want to work in one of these, but for the moment I'm going to be working in PC and Mac and Linux. Okay, so don't click on build because that was going to build your project, and we're not ready to do that just quite yet. Okay, so just X out of that. All your changes will be saved. Okay, a little awkward, but yeah, it's true. Okay, you want just your light while you're in here in your scene, you can do that. We actually don't have a light, so turning it off makes things visible. Okay. Okay, so pretty much like the last video, we have the same exact scene. Actually have a collider here with a respawn script. If you don't have the script, you can go back a little bit to the previous video. You can get that there. Okay, so we have a respawn script here that spawns us in area 2. It's right here. We can see that momentarily for those who haven't seen the previous video and are curious. Okay, and this here has a collider. It's marked as a trigger. And we have the respawn script as well. And this will respawn us to, okay, this will respawn us to area 1 here, our main lander. So in each area in our scene, we created 2 areas. Okay, don't get really confused. The area is not the same as scene. Actually, what we want to clarify here is not confusing the scene for the area, simply because scene can be overloaded. Okay, and if you get overloaded, let's see if we can get our gizmos here, our stats. Here's our stats here. You can see here we have something called frames per second. Okay, so if our scene gets too big, this frames per second goes down. Alright, so you get too many scripts, too many animations, too much of everything, and your frames per second go down and down and down. That affects your performance on different platforms, different computers, and especially on a cell phone. You can't drop below 60 frames per second, from what I heard. I haven't built anything on a cell phone yet. Okay, so this is a very, very important part to take into account, your frames per second. Okay, with that in mind, let's go back and clarify. A scene is very different from an area. Okay, an area are areas in your scene. Okay, area 1, area 2, and so on and so on and so on. I've had up to maybe 26 areas. Okay, that's a kind of heavy scene for me. I drop down to maybe 40 50 frames per second, and in some cases I have to divide the scene into 2. I'd have to go in here and make a new scene and name it scene 3, which is part of scene 1, and that's when things get complicated. So from the beginning, just take that into account. You don't want to make your scene too heavy. Okay, pay attention to those frames per second as well. Alright, so we have our scene 1 and it's in our build. Okay, that'd be really nice to verify there. Have our scene 2, it's in our build. Okay, so now we can take one more step, and we can build our script to transport us from scene 1 to scene 2. Now let's build that script that's going to transport us in between scenes. Okay, currently we're in scene 001. That's our first one here. Let's adjust the lights again, since that was it's automatic. It turns on by itself. Just go back and turn it off. Okay, very easy. Okay, so let's get an idea of what we're going to do here. This is our scene 1. We have 2 areas. Okay, that's very clear. Okay, now we're going to go back to our scene 2. Okay, the reason for this is because once we're transported, we're going to be transported to where? Okay, by default we're going to go to our main camera, since there's no player in the scene. Okay, so if we're transported here, it really has no physics, so it wouldn't go falling anywhere. We don't have any gravity activated, no rigid body or anything. So we'll just be looking into empty space, which could be really confusing. You don't know if you actually transport or not, or something might have happened. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to find our player. Okay, which in this project is still called first person. So we do a little search here, look for first person, look for the motor controls, look controls, okay, collider controls. Notice this one has nothing, right? Well, apparently at first glance, right? This one does. This is the one we want. Okay, later on you can rename this to player. It would be a good idea how you can save other things like tag. In this case it would be really nice so we can go back through that again. Okay, so these are small details that can affect a whole lot. Okay, so maybe the first thing we want to do is go to tag this as player. Okay, this little detail here will affect our script a whole lot. Okay, maybe I'll save you an hour or two trying to find out what's wrong with your script. Okay, it may just be something small like this. Actually, the tags affect a whole lot of scripts. I think maybe 30 or 40% of my scripts have tags. Okay, so I have to be really careful at this point here. Okay, so we have our player. Okay, that looks really nice. We have our main camera too. A little too close together. See, they both have cameras. That'll bring our draw calls up really high, which we don't want. So let's move our main camera. Have a 0, 1, and a 10. I just take all those to 0 and this, and do this. Drag and send the main camera to 500. We can still see it has some kind of seeing distance. We see here it's he's seeing at a 1000. Okay, so he can still reach some. Actually, can still reach our player there. So we still have the 2 camera effect, which we obviously don't want. Okay, so the main reason we leave this camera here is because we can make a little menu or something. Switch between cameras with a little script, so you can make a menu. So we usually use this main camera here. But what we want to do, since both can hear, they have an audio listener. Uncheck that. That will save you a little bit of grief in the beginning when you test. A little error message that pops up here. Okay, and let's adjust the sight. You don't need anything too far. If you're going to make a menu, you only need to see a few meters. Maybe 10, 15. Okay, so we can spare maybe 20 or 50 meters, which is extremely safe in this case. Let's find our player. Okay, well, there's our player there. Let's get a little perspective here. If those gamers out there really appreciate this kind of control. That's actually something only gamers can do. This involves like 2 buttons and a mouse simultaneously. Well, not showing off, but I really like gaming, so this is really natural. Okay, so we see we have our main camera over here. We have our player. Alright, so we have a really safe distance in between here. Even if the main character turns around, this should still be out of range. Well, we can try that maybe. Okay, let's turn this around to 180. Would be the exact opposite of 0 in this program. And wow, I just debunked myself. Okay, so if we turn the player around, we can clearly see that we're still taking up the 2. Well, we still got 2 cameras seeing in the same space. Okay, so what we want to do here, let's check that out. Let's check out our first player, how far he's seeing. We see we also have a main camera here. May want to clarify that here for any scripts you have, main camera too. Okay, very good idea. Okay, let's go to our player, his main camera, or her main camera. How far is the main camera seeing? Default of 1000. I usually bring that down to 300. Don't need to see too much more than 300. Okay, these are really nice tips. We're starting out a scene. Save you a bit of grief. Okay, especially if one's been fighting quite a bit with draw calls and frames per second. Okay, so we now see when the player turns around, he's safely out of the way of main camera. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that being an issue with draw calls. Alright, excellent, right? Okay, now we want to check something out. Our player, where's our player? Where's the coordinates? Okay, we want to take our player to 0, 0, 0. Okay, just a small habit, probably insignificant for some people, but this is really important for me, especially I design a lot in Unity, something they tell us not to. I actually use Unity to model my scenes. Make a model, use cubes and triangles, put them together and make a scene. Okay. Sounds really bad, but actually if you keep everything organized, do this little trick with the cameras and everything, you can still have a pretty decent scene designing in Unity. You don't have too many draw calls or frames per second. Okay, contrary to the belief that you ruin everything by designing in Unity. I did it. I gotta actually have a project that we may see later on. I designed everything in Unity. Alright, well, through showing that off, let's get to the script. Okay, so we have our player at 0, 0, 0. We need something for our player to stand on, right? Okay, we could just create a cube. It's kind of like overkill, right? Let's put our cube at 0, 0, 0 as well. Okay, let's make that big. Let's see here, we can make 25 width, another 25 width. Let's make that really thin at 0.5. Okay, so we see our player is trapped in the floor. Okay, so let's get our player, switch the little arrow key so we can move him and rescue him. Okay, so we have some distance from the foreign player, which is really nice. If the player is too close to the floor, he'll fall through, or he or she, whatever your player is going to be. Actually, on my project, mine is just a machine, so it will fall through the floor. Okay, so you can see things, maybe find some textures. Unity has some textures here and standard assets. Character controllers, probably not. Let's look down here. Terrain assets. We got some textures there. What we're looking for is material though, because if you drag a texture onto here, it create a new material. You want to kind of avoid those unnecessary materials if you're not going to use them later on. Okay, turn the lights off. You can see that. Okay, the same textures as our previous scene. We can create some textures later on. Really easy to do. Just drag a texture onto an object and you have a material basically. And you just play around with the shaders and all this stuff, and you can have a custom material. Alright, so we have our scene 2. This is our scene where we're going to be transporting our player. You see we have a player. It's not really technically transporting our player, but kind of like player to player, right? You have a player here and you have a player over there. So you just stop using the player over one scene and start using the player over in the other scene. So wherever this player is where the scene will start. Okay, important to know that. So if we start our play over here, the scene will start over here. When we transport from scene 1 to 2, we'll be right here, wherever you want your player to be. If you want your player to be facing that way, your player be facing that way, then the other way. Okay, wherever you want your player to be facing. Keep in mind that it's not the same player, so you can actually adjust some things with your camera, the lighting, and those things to be very independent from your previous scene. Okay, something really important to know. So you can have special effects, snow, and different camera effects, and then scene 2 be just completely different, independent from the first scene. Okay, really handy if you want to be changing effects and keeping your audience. Okay, so we have our second scene pretty much set up. So when we transport, we won't be flying through midair and falling and falling and falling for eternity. Okay. Alright, so what we need now is a lander. So let's double click on our player. Okay, a lander really isn't necessary to transport. It is necessary when you have different areas here. You have an area 1, area 2, which we may do anyway right here. Let's create empty. I did a little bit too fast. Okay, 3D object, game object, 3D object, and cube. Or you can create empty, like I did in this case. Empty game object doesn't cost you anything. You can't see it. Pretty much doesn't exist except in your hierarchy. Okay, let's put this. This is where this comes really handy. Keeping everything at 0, 0, 0. And I have my game object at 0, 0, 0. Rename my game object area 1. It's really handy when you start scenes. Just keep everything organized. It'll save you a ton of time. Okay, so you have this little cube here. Let's create object, move to view. This is really handy too. It essentially move it to the view, not to the exact same coordinates sometimes, as you see here. We moved it to the view and it's still at 4 meters, 2.6, and that's not very handy at all, is it? But we already know it's 0, 0, 0, right? So that's awesome. So we lose no time there. Okay, so we're gonna, the objective of this, have some place to land if we're going to be transporting ourselves within the scene. Okay, so this would be a lander. Or like I like to do, main lander. You should have several landers. You could be landing to the right or left sometimes, or different places. You'd be jumping all around. But this is the main one. Okay, by default maybe, or if you respawn or choose badly, you go back to the main lander. Our main lander is in area 1. This cube, our floor, is in area 1 as well. See, everything's really organized. Click on the little arrow. Organized. Perfect. Okay, let's change the properties on this. Landers usually don't have any colliders, have no physical properties, and usually can't see them. Alright, really handy. Main lander, game object. Let's see, let's click our player, first person controller, game object, move to view. See, it doesn't really go to 0, 0, 0, but where the main lander is. So the y coordinates are 2.5, or 2.45, just slightly above the floor, so you don't fall through. Okay, so we have scene 2 pretty much set up, which is good. It'll save you a ton of time if you're trying to test this out to see if it actually worked. Okay, so let's go back to scene 1. Scene 1. And here we say we could save our changes. Would be really nice. Okay. Let's find the first person here. Do we have to adjust our lights again? Okay, so we have a collider here. Let's distinguish this. This is a simple sender. Send you between area 1 and area 2. So now we need transporter. Okay. So let's duplicate this. Okay, edit, duplicate. Not the same as copy. Take note of that. Duplicate. Usually have different models to transport between scenes, but in this case, I'm going to be using this one since we haven't designed anything yet. You can design something, create a model. Let's make this one a little bit different so we can differentiate. Actually, we can do something a bit different. Let's move this to 90. Just for the sake of seeing that it's something different. Okay, I'm doing that a bit fast, but I can put pause on the video and see those basic controls there. Okay, so not too pretty, but that should work. So basically we made a little hallway here. You can see kind of a short little hallway. It's a little bit shorter than our player here, but just to get the idea that this is gonna take us somewhere else. Okay, let's put a transparent material there so we can see it's different from the walls. Okay, so we have our box collider. I'm gonna put a trigger here. Okay, so let's go here to our assets. Okay, so we have scripts folder that we made previously. Actually, I made an extra one here. These are usually the normal scripts for the scene. This is the custom one we made, scripts 1. If not, you can create your own. Just right click and create. It'll be actually a little easier if you first click on assets, standard assets, and create. So to create the folder under standard assets, so you don't have folders all thrown around there. Okay, but since we already have our folder here, scripts 1. Okay, we see we have our respawn script, the one we made in last video. We're going to make a new one. Okay, so we inside here, right click, create. We're going to go to JavaScript. This is going to be a JavaScript. Okay, we're going to name this one Trans Collider. Okay, that's just a custom name I have. Actually, one that turned out very well because I found that it's really easy to find. You just put trans, like respawn, you put RE, and it comes up right at the top of the list. Trans Collider does the same. I think it's number 3 on my list. Okay, so we have Trans Collider. Okay, the name, so this is going to be the generic one here. Double click on that. Okay, so we have our start out script here, start and an update. Okay, not really the same. We won't really get into that right now. Okay, so what I just erase. Okay, clean slate. And since I want to save you the agony of watching me type out all this script, it's not very long. But anyways, it's a whole lot easier to copy and paste. Okay, see, it's not a very long script. We started with the function. Okay, we have our onTrigger inner, which is our collider on our cube. That's what's going to be sending us. Okay, so this specifies it's a collider. Okay, this is where the tag comes in really handy. Remember we tagged our player as a player. Okay, so we want to take that for granted. So anything called player hitting the collider will do this. Okay, application load level scene 002. Okay, that's exactly what we want, 002. Now you can see the importance of keeping your scenes in order. Okay, actually knowing that you're not going to have spaces, or knowing that you're going to always have spaces. In my case, I never have spaces, so I separate words with capital letters and numbers and letters go side by side, so I know this. Okay, this will save you a whole lot of grief, because one little space will change everything. You won't know what you're talking about. Put a space in there, you throw this into your scene, and nothing will happen. So you want to keep this really, really consistent. Really important there. Okay, so let's go through the brackets, open, close. Okay, I know this is right because I just copied it. But if you're typing this out, you probably want to go through this. Click on 1, get the results of 1. Okay, open, close, everything's good. Okay, here's the spaces. Also really sensitive, the JavaScript points, spaces and all that. Miss one and it'll throw everything off. Okay, so everything looks good. It's already named scene 002. So since we're going to be in 001, this is the script we want because it's to transport us to scene 002. Okay, so we go to File. If this is what we want, Save As. Okay, Trans Collider. We're in our scripts. Okay, so we're going to do here, change the name a bit if we don't want to modify our original file, that is. Okay, maybe we do here, but let's get into the habit of creating another file, which is really important. You can mess a whole lot of things up not changing the name. So Trans Collider, let's see, scene 002. Okay. Okay, may seem like something really simple, but believe me, this will save you hours and hours of agony, possibly days, seeing what went wrong, if it's a scene or if it's a script or what's going on. Okay, just keep everything in order from the beginning. Okay, so we have the correct name, the correct place. Let's click Save. Okay, exit that, exit that. Okay. So we should have new script here. Okay, two ways you can do this. You can leave them at the same size, or you could go over here and adjust this so you can see the complete name. Alright, either way, I like to do this actually. Go here, we'll check to see if this is a box collider, if it's a trigger, which is going to communicate to something once it has contact with another rigid body, like a player, for example. Rigid body has some physics, like physics, two hard things come into contact. This is a communicate to something, that's what it's saying. Okay, what is it going to communicate to? Okay, we want it to communicate to the script. So let's click on our cube, our transporter, and drag and drop over here. Okay, so let's verify we have our box collider. It's a trigger, good. You can see it, that's optional for you if you want it to be visible or not. And we have our collider. Okay, awesome. Okay, the only other thing we have to check to see if the scene is in the build. Okay, so build settings, and we have scene 2. Okay, scene 2, very important. May seem like a really small detail, but this will save you some time. Okay, see scene 002, scene 002. Perfect. Okay, so there's no excuse for us not to go to scene 002. Then if our first person controller wasn't marked as a player, which the script is going to be looking for. It's going to be looking for something named player. Here it is, player. Alright, let's test this out. This should work perfectly since we checked it a few times. Okay, we see our little wall here. Let's walk in our little corridor here and into our transporter. Alright, so you see what I mean here. So we don't have anything too different, but this is scene 2. Actually, this would be a good thing to test. Let's go back to scene 2. Yeah, something different so you can see that this is actually scene 2. Okay, file, open scene. Scene 2. Save changes, of course. Want to be doing that constantly, actually, not like me. Okay, this is scene 2. Okay, we're going to put in something here so we can see that this is a different place. Let's duplicate this. Let's put in something really different. Let's increase the Y value to maybe 50, like a pillar or something. So we have some really different details here. Okay. Okay. By the way, if you want to see how to do this, probably could tell you, but you could also go through quite a few hours of Fallout. Probably be a whole lot better tutorial than what I could tell you here. Yeah, I just play Fallout. I really like Fallout 3 and 4. They're obviously not paying me anything to say this, but it's one of my favorite games. Fallout 3 is an awesome game. New Vegas, Fallout 4 is awesome. Need a really good video card though to play it. But yeah, if you want to do this, just spend some hours playing. Oh, this is a handy tool here. Just spinning around and everything. Unlike other people have to go through here and here. And whoa, that's not so fun, is it? Yeah, you get kind of dizzy. Well, here you can do like Star Wars, like fly around and boom. Yeah, that looks fun, huh? Actually, it really is. Okay, so we have something different in scene 2 now, which is really, really good. Alright, so we're gonna do save scene, which we should be doing like every 2 or 3 minutes anyway. File, open scene. We're gonna go back to scene 1. So we're doing quite a bit of jumping around. That's the importance of everything in folders. Okay, let's try that out. We're in scene 1. Okay, you see that? We have our, well, let's, just for fun, let's just transport ourselves between areas. That's always fun to see you can do that. Okay, let's go between scenes now. Yeah, this is the end of the scene, or I don't know, anything. Going to a different room, but room's really heavy with details, so we're gonna put the room in a separate scene altogether. Okay, boom. Wow, there's our pillars. So we know for sure this is scene 2, right? 1 pillar, 2 pillars. Okay, we have some grass and sunlight and some buildings, and really created some people and stuff like that here. Okay, so that's basically it. Well, such a simple thing could make a world of a difference. Actually, if you're going to be making a project anything big, like third person like this, and you're going to need a script like this. There's no other way to do it really. If you overload just one scene, I don't think that's really possible. Your frames per second is going to be really low, and honestly I don't think it's possible. So these are your basic scripts you're going to need to create any project. So here's the transport scene between scenes. Okay, some really helpful details. Hope you really like that. And well, if you did, don't forget the like button. Now, okay, I have my own project open now. Now we're going to see a few examples of the Transcollider script in a big project. Now this is a big project. Okay, so in the previous video, this should look pretty familiar. This is my chapter select. Okay, here's an example of respawn script. It simply transports within the same scene. Okay, doesn't go too far, just from one point to another point, usually like 300-400 meters on average. Okay, so this next area here, this is an area that's approximately 300 meters, more or less. Actually, I changed it to maybe a little bit more, 500, just for the edges of the camera. You can see here in the frames per second, and especially the draw calls. See, they're pretty low, despite all the graphics and stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? It has some lights and stuff like that. But since everything's spaced out, the edge of the camera doesn't catch anything. Okay. Okay, so I could go here. This is a respawn script. This transport us to a different area only. Or we could take this route. This is a Transcollider script. This to take us to a completely different scene. Okay. Well, in the previous video we went through here. Let's change it up a bit. Let's go here. So that's about 300 or 400 meters as well. We can go back and back and back and back as many times as you want. Okay, so all of these here, these are the ones that takes you to different areas. Okay, these are Transcolliders. Okay, so going into any one of these will take you to a completely different scene. Okay, so we can change scene to a light blue opening, green area, yellow area. Okay, well, let's try the yellow area. Go here, see there's a little pause. Okay, we're in the yellow area. Okay, that was a good example, wasn't it? Okay, so usually don't have a way to go back, simply because you have to start at the original point, which wouldn't make too much sense. It's much easier to restart the scene than to try to find some kind of crazy respawn point from in between scenes. Okay, so from this area, I have an area to choose different chapters. These are more internal chapters related to their areas. Okay, choose any one. Let's go here. There's a little pause there. Okay, and then we're transported. This is a completely different scene. Usually have here the areas, area 4, yellow area. Just keep the player, or the person oriented. Okay, and here there's several places you can go. This will transport you to the chapter select, so you don't have to read every chapter to find the chapter you're on. Okay, well, in this case, my book. This is a book, game book. If you could get the idea of that. So within this, since it's such a big book, I have a area just for a map. Okay, this is actually an area, although it does take up some graphics and stuff. See, so we have different animations, different colliders transport you. Like this one here, you click animation and it transports you. Okay, so here's the sake of people getting disoriented. This is for them. Okay, just a little map so they can check out where they're at. Say more or less. Okay, I'm here, I want to go there. Okay, a little bit more extensive here. Okay, see here, you are here. Like in the national parks. Alright, well, that's a pretty cool detail, right? Now, since we're going to be jumping this way and that, well, actually the player has no sense if they're jumping in between areas or scenes, really, unless there's a pause or something. So the only orientation they have is maybe a map. Okay, so I thought this would be a really good detail here. Little map. Okay, they saw the map, everything's fine, they feel better. Okay, let's go back to the game, book, or whichever way they view it. If they see it as a game or a book. It's irrelevant, well, kind of. Kids, adults, that kind of thing. Just all a point of view. Okay, you see all there? There's a bunch of respawn points. This is why it's really important to name all of your landers very, well, not really accurately, but just to keep them in order. This is the magic of having different areas. You can keep all of your landers in every area. Okay, contrary if you have everything just scattered out there, it's going to be way more complicated. You can see you open an area and you have a load of things in there. Menus and sub-menus and more menus, and things can get really complicated. Okay, so that's the idea of having areas. You see, you just jump around. Those are respawn scripts. Not sure how many, I've never counted them, but there's quite a few. A lot of things have respawn scripts. Like the enemies, like we didn't see in the last video. This is one the kids alike. It's a little laser. If you run into it, animation on it does that damage and has its own respawn script attached to an animation. If you stand there too long, it basically transports you, kills the player. Okay, then you have to come back and you respawn back to the beginning. Okay, not really the beginning, but more or less around there. Okay, so that's the idea. If there's any doubts or any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Use the comments below. My email's also attached there. Be more than happy to help. Wish I would have had this help when I was starting out, but I didn't. Okay, so that's kind of the motivation for helping other people right now. And also so you can see the book. Alright, all my awesome graphics. I did all this in Unity. I didn't use Blend or 3DS or anything. All of this is in Unity. Some objects I got from the asset store and stuff like that. These are round things here. But pretty much, yeah, everything's designed in Unity. And check this out, draw calls, 162, 184, 256 maximum. Yeah, but that's about it. I don't have that 1,000 draw calls like other projects. Okay, and it's pretty decent graphics, nothing pretty too extravagant or anything like that. Kind of repetitive sometimes, but yeah, I can get the feel of the place. Look, I got some 3D in there too. So there's quite a few colliders. And the draw calls are all under control. Frames per second's pretty high, which is what we want. Closer to 70 frames per second, the better. Okay, so everything's really good. Everything's balanced, organized. This is the way your scene should be. It doesn't have to be like mine. That's not what I'm saying, but more or less is a general idea from some years of trial and error and grief and all of that. Okay, so if you want to copy this, no problem. Yeah, you can use my same technique. All techniques are different, whatever suits you. Okay, so hope you really liked this video. If you did, please click like. That really help morale a whole lot. Okay, there's no monetization yet, but morale wise that should help. Okay, so if you have any doubts, any questions, please write them in the comments below. Any recommendations for the next video, you can write them as well. Alright, really hope you like this video. Thanks for watching. Well, unfortunately we reached the end of our time. Hope you really liked this video. As I said before, right? Kind of repetitive, but I really do hope you like this video. Make these videos simply because I didn't have so many videos when I was starting this project. So I'd like some people who are just starting this program to have a little bit of help. Okay, small detail for me. Okay, so of course if you like the video, please hit the like button. That helps out a whole lot. Not really in the way of money, but morale-wise. Okay, so it'll help us out tremendously. And of course, the description box below, comments, questions, ideas for next videos. Simply just let me know if this video helped you. Let's help me improve, maybe, in some ways. And hope to see you back. Okay, well, see you later. Goodbye.